Oh, it's cold in here. It is. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right, it is 7:05. The board met in closed session under exception C1, C11, C2, and C21, and C10. With that, if I can have a roll call for the August 10th, 2023 Waukegan Public School Board of Education special meeting.
Mr. McBride, Ms. Gonzalez,
Here.
Mr. Riddle,
Here.
Miss Hannah, Miss Lansing,
Here.
Miss Fabian,
Here.
President Ewing.
Here. And with that, I'd like a motion to go back into open session.
Second. Or
So
well,
moved.
I motion. That's it. I was ready.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Riddle. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. All right, we have our Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask Ms. Urbach, if you'd be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, so I do have a president's report. I want to first start off by apologizing for the rescheduling of this meeting. I know there's tons of things that are happening at the schools and school districts, and so I know even tonight was my son's open house, which I had to miss, but there was a posting issue with the meeting. While it was available online, it was not continuously available outside where we posted on Lincoln Center walls, and the law requires that to be on notice for 48 hours. So I apologize to any community members that were inconvenienced, as well as to any board members that were inconvenienced as well, and that is something that we have corrected moving forward. In addition, I want to say welcome to our start of the 23-24 school year. We had a kickoff yesterday. Shout out to Mr. Alexakis and Mr. Hinojosa on doing amazing job emceeing. So you guys kept us moving.
Yeah.
Not only did we get, kudos from it being there, but I've gotten a number of emails just thanking the district for what they did, as well as all of those who came out and acted as vendors. So it was a really good time, and it really set a good tone moving into the rest of the year. And so, as I mentioned, I'm not going to be long-winded, but that concludes, or for the Board of Education, there are tons of opening day events. I know many of us work, but if you are able to take some time off and stop by some schools, we have the start schedules and what schools start at what time, and it's always a good practice to stop by on that first day, just say hi, greet the teachers and students as they come back into our buildings. With that, I want to turn it over to Mr. Hinojosa for his student board member report.
Thank you, President Ewing. Hi, everyone. This is my 10th student board member report for today's meeting. Yes, it's been 10 already, which I find very crazy to believe. And, kudos to the next 10, I hope. I think it is going to be another 10. But obviously, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Obviously, our statement for today's topic is new beginnings. Next slide, please. Our quote is small but powerful, I believe, and it says, "Change takes courage," by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, representative from the New York's 14th Congressional District. And I feel that this quote is important for students in which, this is the start of the school year. A lot of us are going back to school, getting ready for how our school year is going to start, planning how this is going to work. And for a lot of us, change is a little scary, especially if you're moving from elementary school to middle school and middle school to high school, and some people that are moving from that junior to senior year, and that could be a very tiring, a very exciting, a little stressful time for a lot of people. But I feel like as students, we are ready for change, and we have the courage to pursue that forward, and I feel like a lot of students do believe that. And if we could go on to the next slide. Old business, we only have 2 slides for this one. Obviously, as always, the Promotion and Retention Committee, as your objective as always, is review and propose a new Promotion and Retention Committee policy for WPS 60, Policy 5215. The student view, as always, is that high school, middle school, and elementary school students need to be held accountable and supported. Next slide, please. And yesterday, actually, I had a meeting with Assistant Principal Arias of Brookside Campus. Our objective for our meeting was to discuss and plan the next steps of the Waukegan High School Student Government Project, which is working very well. We're steadily getting along, and we are very excited to present our final, plans and all that to the board sooner rather than later, but we'll keep you posted on that. Next slide, please. Community Spotlight didn't have this last week, so it's only 2 slides. This picture here is of the class of 2023 OCS and COA. For the people that don't know, OCS and NCOA are academies from the JROTC program, in which NCOA is for non-commissioned officers that go from a corporal to a sergeant rank, and OCS is the officer school that goes from any rank in the NCO branch to second lieutenant. And obviously, I was one of the officers that got promoted.
No, we're not gonna clap. We're gonna clap.
As you can see here, this is around 30 students, and I can say that OCS this year did have a 100% graduation rate. So,
Yeah, great job, guys.
these are the 30 new officers of the JROTC program. A lot of them are my close friends, and honestly, we're very excited to start the school year as officers. And as you can see in the middle is our G staff, and in the middle is our regimental commander, Cadet Colonel Juliana Reyes, who is very excited to work with all of us, and the NCOs that also got promoted to sergeant, which is also a big deal in ROTC, getting ranked up to a sergeant. So congratulations to everyone as always, and best of luck. Next slide, please. As you know, we did, as President Ewing did state, we did have a start of school kickoff yesterday where I emceed with Mr. Alajakis, and I will say that it was a very fun event. I really did like it, and I feel like, as Mr. Ewing did state, a lot of teachers did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. A lot of the students that did go also enjoyed it. There was a lot of great speeches. There was great energy in general, and I feel like it really shows how the 2023-2024 school year will be a great one, in my opinion, from the energy, the excitement that teachers had in this event. So I thank the administration, as always, for planning this and, getting ready for the next one, for the 2024-2025. But, getting a little ahead of myself. Next slide, please. Obviously, this is Q&A. If any board members have any questions, this is the time. Okay, I will take that as a no, and I yield the rest of my time.
All right, so we do have our Spotlight on 60, which is coming back as we start the school year, and we did have an exceptional backpack drive and resource fair, so we have a video for that.
Good afternoon, Waukegan! And thank you for joining us at our back to school event. We are so excited to see all our young scholars out here that are excited to come back to school.
Honestly, I just want everybody to have a fun day. This is one of the best days. Did we not get perfect weather for this? Have fun, everyone, and enjoy your time. Thank you.
I hope that you guys are having a great time. I want to shout out all of our volunteers who are here today, as well as all of the different resources that showed up to make sure that our community knows that there are people and organizations that are here to help them, because it really does take a village.
I'm the Youth Council Advisor.
Hi, we're a safe place. We're actually with Youth Service Department. I'm from the Waukegan Park District. We've got a lot of cool free family programs, art events, and a fitness event too. So anything that might interest you, come out and enjoy the Waukegan Park District. I'm here with EcoHope.
I'm here with Meridian Healthcare and Youth Care.
I'm from Prairie State Legal Services. We provide free civil legal services.
I'm with Reverdy Community House, and we do programs for kids and for adults. They're all free and they're open to all the community.
I'm out here representing the Waukegan Township and our supervisor, Mr. Mark L. Jones.
And I'm the Director of ADVI's Community of Science. And we're here today and we're offering STEM activities for all the kids, trying to encourage their love of science.
Hi, we are the Melanated Authors, and we're so excited about exposing students to multicultural literature.
This is Vertical Encounter. We're going to have a raffle. We're giving away a free bike. I hope you win.
1, 2, go. Hey!
been anticipating this day. We cannot wait to see you on August 14th. August 14th is the first day of school.
So again, kudos. It was an awesome event. And thank you to all of those who helped make it happen. All right, we are at the approval of minutes. So we have item 8A, approval of the minutes of the special open session board meeting from May 2nd, 2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by
Second.
Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? Oh, this is the issue. Everybody, we don't, with Mr. McBride still not being here, and you all, that was the day before you were seated, we do not have the votes to pass it this evening based on Mr. McBride's absence. So that will be coming back. We do have what we need for item 8B, approval of the minutes of the open session board meeting for June 27, 2023.
Okay. Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions, corrections to the minutes? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. One pass by Ms. Hannah. All right, we now have our opportunity for comments. So as the sheet comes forward, just a reminder, each speaker gets 3 minutes unless you need translation services. If you need translation services will be provided for you, and you will get an additional 3 minutes for a total of 6. We do want to remind speakers of civility. I also want to ask that you refrain from mentioning student and staff names in your remarks. When I call your name, please come up and line up in order to be ready when your name is called. So the first name is listed as R. Pierre, second name Mary Olson, and Wygina Briscoe. So Ms. Pierre, whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody in the audience. So this is a legal notice to you all with care, concern, and the production of justice in mind. A year and a half ago, I was asked by someone to help with the Black Student Union because the person in charge, who can't be named, simply wasn't showing up, wasn't coming. The first time I went, that person, well, no, they weren't there. A second time I went, they were there, but the next few times I went, they weren't there at all. There was no adult present where the kids were supposed to meet. And I started showing up just so they would have someone there, you know, to conduct the Black Student Union with. And I did this as a volunteer. I didn't expect anything in return. I just wanted to assist non-white Black children with knowing the system that they live in, just how to navigate life, skills, etc. What ended up happening was people noticed that the Black Student Union was taking off, and the students vocalized that they wanted support, so they asked to come, and I came here with them. They asked me to come support them, to tell you all, do y'all remember when they came?
Yes.
For some reason, people thought I put them up to it. No, they asked me to come. And we came, and I'm sorry to say no one from the school board came to support the Black Student Union. I feel it's severely neglected. It is severely neglected. It's not a feel. I actually watched people from the district rally together to put together a Black History program when they could have just fed into the Black Student Union's program that was a week long. There were posters printed, all kind of stuff. I helped them with the graphic design. There was a young lady that is a part of it, that she made the flag. The person that wasn't showing up, the instructor, was putting it down instead of asking, what is this about, trying to reiterate what we've gone over, because he's disinterested. You know, he puts it down. And one person from the school board came, but they came like when the school year was about to end, but all the programs that we had put on were over. But here's the fun part. Because of people's arrogance being involved, they asked me to do some forms to validate me being there after I had been there for a year and a half. I gave my information, my address, my name, my social, my birthday, and I didn't even hear from anybody. What kind of dereliction of duty is that? My personal information was given to the district after I really proved myself to be responsible and reliable, because someone else felt like they were being challenged and it was a competition when they wasn't showing up for the position they paid to be there for. So my thing is, what are y'all gonna do for the Black Student Union? I might not be able to be a part of it anymore, but y'all have to do something better than what you did before, and it just is what it is. Thank you.
Mary Olson.
Good evening. In May, I know that we discussed the PE waiver for the elementary level, and I don't know if that was approved by the state or not, but I do challenge the board that if it is approved, that the board will see to it that once every fourth day, the kids will get physical education. In the past, some schools did not do it that way. They did it like 11 days in a row. And then the rest of the time for that quarter, they would go on to the next discipline, either STEM, art, or music. But I think that that is a bad choice, and this is just my opinion, but as a community member now, I think that once every fourth day, if we said it in the waiver, we should then honor it for as long as that is, that waiver is available to us. So I would challenge the school board to see prior to the start of the school year, which is on Monday, just to make sure that each elementary school is scheduled once every fourth day for physical education, and it's not 11 days or 10 days in a row and then they get it the next quarter. So that's just my concern. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Olson.
Good evening. I just have 3 topics that I want to talk about. The first, before I talk about the topics, I do want to say the resource fair was awesome. I mean, the kids were all around the corner, and then they tasked me to go on the registration to help register, and I looked, and it was all the way around the building. But we did it. I mean, the team, everybody that was involved with that, we did it, and we got everybody in. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that I was on Facebook, and I saw the event that happened welcoming the teachers back. Oh my God, it was awesome. It made me feel really good for the district. But then I started thinking about my role as a substitute teacher, and I'm going to continue to come up here and talk about there's nothing for the substitute teachers. I have not received any communication yet about whether or not, well, I said I'm going to sub for next year, but I know that there are teachers that are needed because I looked on the job board and there are a lot of postings out there, but I have not received any communication. And I'm only asking for 2 things. Make sure that we understand the safety. I've been subbing for 3 years and I never knew about that dang on bag that's in the classroom in case the kids need to stay in the classroom. Right, I never knew about that. The other piece is that if there's a drill, I come to these meetings so I know about how the signs are posted. So I know that, but how many substitute teachers know that? At least make sure that we know about safety. Second thing is that there is a Harris report where the information was supposed to be communicated out in July. I'm not sure if I missed it. I tried to find the report on board docs, but I couldn't find it out there. But we should have received some information from Harris in July. The last point is that I want to thank the district again for coming through with the information for the African American boys, but just to hold us accountable, this is August. In August, it's supposed to be implement community engagement plan, identify members of the steering committee, and soft launch of the implementation plan. So, just a reminder to keep us on track, hold the district accountable. This is what we should be receiving this month. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Briscoe. The next 3 names in order are Luz Granda, Kershana Hanna, and Rayon Edwards. If we can get 6 minutes to allow for translation for Ms. Granda. All right, Ms. Granda, whenever you start speaking, your time will begin.
Dice que cuando usted empiece a hablar el tiempo va a empezar.
¿Sí me entiende? Leo aquí la traducción, leo acá la traducción.
Está bien, usted consideraciones y
Pero voy a leer hoja por hoja.
Ok, está bien.
Buenas noches a todos aquí
Good
presentes.
evening, everybody here present.
Hoy jueves 10 de agosto 2023 estoy aquí para abordar un asunto importante para la educación de mi hijo estudiante de Waukegan High School.
Today, August 10, I'm here to talk about something that is very important to me for the education of my son. He is a student at the Waukegan High School.
Ya que a mi parecer mi estudiante está siendo discriminado.
I feel like my son is being discriminated.
Primero quiero mencionar que el responsable de hacer el horario de las clases de mi estudiante lo hizo mal.
First, I want to mention that the one in charge of making the schedule for my son, he did it totally wrong.
Esta persona no le asignó literatura. Esta clase es un requisito para graduarse.
This person did not assign any literature class, and this is a very requisite to graduate.
Mandé un email a la señora Patty.
I sent an email to Miss Patty.
Ella respondió mi email.
And she did respond to my email.
Y trató de ayudarme, pero no resolví el problema.
And she tried to help me, but I was not able to resolve my problem.
A las 4:30 me llamó la señora AA.
At 4:30, the lady named just AA.
Tratamos de resolver el problema de las clases de mi estudiante y no arreglamos nada.
We tried to resolve the issue of my son's class, but we were not able to fix anything.
A mi estudiante le quitaron el primer periodo.
To my son, he was taking away the first period.
Por favor, necesito que alguien de ustedes me explique por qué algunos estudiantes tienen privilegios y otros no.
I just want you to tell me why some of the students have privileges and others don't.
El año pasado hicieron excepción con los estudiantes de GRTC de la clase grado 10.
Last year, they made an exception for the students of JROTC, the grade 10 students.
Este año no lo están haciendo con los estudiantes de la clase 10.
This year, again, they're excluding the 10th grade students.
Les dieron la clase de JRTC en el periodo 1 el año pasado y había estudiantes grado 9 y grado 10.
He was given the class in the first period, la clase de JROTC,
sí.
The JROTC class, and in that class there were students of 9 and 10 graders.
En verano mandaron a mi hijo a tomar la clase de salud.
And in the summer, my son was asked to come and take the health class.
Para que él tuviera sus clases completas. Había un plan ya de clases. Se fue la consejera y ahora hay un desastre.
Last year, he had a plan with the counselor. Now the counselor is gone, and then nobody knows what happened with the schedule. Everything is a disaster.
Lo único que veo ahora es que este distrito no hay igualdad, equidad, inclusión, como tanto lo dicen.
What I see is that in this district there is no equality, nothing seems to be the same for everybody.
Siempre veo ayuda para los estudiantes que están fallando, pero ¿qué tienes para los excelentes estudiantes que dan lo mejor de ellos, los que se esfuerzan siempre dando lo mejor de ellos? ¿Qué tienes para ellos?
There is always help for the students that are struggling, but what are the students that are really going and doing good grades? What kind of help are you offering to them?
No tienes nada, todo lo contrario, haces que se decepcionen de este distrito.
You guys are not doing anything, it's just the opposite, and making the students, the good students, to get discouraged.
Por último, te quiero decir que todos los estudiantes importan, independientemente de su raza.
I just want you to know that all the students are important in spite of the race.
Si tú no le tomas importancia a todos los estudiantes, entonces ustedes están discriminando. if all the students are not important to you, then you are discriminating too. Por favor, yo necesito que me resuelvan el problema de mi hijo. Please, I need help to resolve this issue antes del lunes, before Monday. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Granda. Kashana Hannah was the next name.
Okay, good evening, everybody, the board and superintendent, board president. I'm coming here as obviously a citizen here and a proud citizen, I must say, with District 60. Over the last few weeks, District 60 looked like what I know it to be. It was engaging with the community, with the resource fair, which was simply amazing. Community members came out, students came out, parents were there. It was a very successful event. It was great. So kudos to everybody that had put that together. The second thing was the kickoff and welcome back for the students. That was amazing to see all the staff members and everybody engaged and fired up for a good school year and the optimism for a good school year. We're on a great start. It seems like we're on a great start. With that being said, I'm just asking, what is in place to keep the fire with the staff members? What is in place to keep them supported, to make them feel throughout the year that they are supported, that resources are available to them? Just like across the country, we are experiencing teacher shortages just across the country with everywhere, all across the country. What is in place to keep the stresses down with staff members and teachers dealing with the shortages that are presented to them? It's already stressful enough not to have adequate staff and support, and they're picking up the slack for everything else. What is in place to keep the stresses down for them? What is also in place for students? Just like we had the fire of those teachers yesterday, the staff members, everybody was excited. What is in place for the students to get excited? What is in place to set the expectations for the students? To know what they can do, what they are expected to do, what they cannot do, spelled out and presented to them so that they know and they're not running amok through the high school and through the middle schools like we've seen in past. We're starting afresh here and it seems like we're on a good start. So let's keep that momentum going because District 60 is worth it and it's capable. We are a great district and let's keep that going. And I am proud to say that the things that happened within District 60 these last couple of weeks, I am proud to say that I am a Bulldog and not shying away from, I am from Waukegan and I graduated from Waukegan. The last thing I'm gonna bring up is pertaining to the superintendent's report. I'm gonna ask again that the superintendent provides her own report, and if there is a district employee or staff member providing a report, maybe we should have a category for that. But I would like to hear from the superintendent about what's going on around the district.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Rayon Edwards.
I hear a lot of talk about junior ROTC, and it's pretty much preparing our kids to go where. But what I don't see is we teaching our kids how to be engineers, mechanics. We took all of that up out of the district. I look at 187 now and they got it back. And again, I say this, a lot of times you educators make decisions, you're making them from an educator standpoint, and you're not always right. You're wrong. We talked a lot about the transfer of these buildings. I've noticed over here, as I was out the last couple of weeks, I noticed a lot is being done over here at Washington campus, but I also know now we didn't put junior ROTC over there. In all the years I've been living in the city of Waukegan and been in this district, junior ROTC ain't never had their own space like that. That's an issue for me, y'all. Education ain't for everybody, and we know that. Some of our kids ain't gonna go to college, not because they can't, but because they don't want to. We talking about social emotional learning. We talking about mental health. We watching a lot of our kids with obese issues. And you guys took away gym? I mean, y'all, what are we doing here? You guys are supposed to be the professionals. Y'all supposed to be making the best decisions, but we not. And it's starting to be a pattern that every time somebody call the district out or point out something that the district is not doing, you guys figure out a way to retaliate. That's street behavior. Y'all talk about, gangs and all of this. That's what y'all are doing. That's the same thing. And out of respect, I get why you don't want to use names. But these people getting paid. We already know who they is. Why is it we can't come up here and say who we talking about? They say our name. We got to stop this. There's no relationship with safety, face, none of that in these communities to know what's going on. Y'all don't even know in the last week, we didn't have 14 teen fights. And guess what most of those kids go to? Right here in this district. Y'all don't know who they is, but I got every video in my phone right now. So I want to ask y'all, again, all these community-based organizations that come up here and say they do all of this work, figure out how much information they know about that. Who's doing the work? Where's the work getting done at? At some point, we have to realize we got to come from out of those four walls. We got to put our boots up, lace them up, and get out and get active.
Final name on the list is Randy Sebecki.
Good evening. A couple things tonight. One, I like a safety report on how things are going to change within our district from the prior years. We put that presentation, I wasn't here last week for that presentation, but that didn't tell us how anything's going to change. We didn't talk about how we're going to curb the violence with students within the buildings. That's the kind of report I want. That's safety and security. You know, how are things going to change? Not we put up more security cameras, not we did more of this, but how are we going to make those changes? Second thing I want to talk about tonight. We fought Miss Hannah, what was it, a year and a half ago or whatever it was, about this wall out front. Fought her that we wanted to get rid of that wall. It was turned down by the city of Waukegan. As far as I know, there's no appeals. So I talked to Alderman Turner about it, and I'm going to take it further with the city of Waukegan because this district's in code violation now. Because that wall hasn't been replaced. Hasn't been torn down or replaced like you guys keep saying. Why? You've already received 2 insurance payments. So what's taking so long? That's an eyesore. Anybody else in any of our neighborhoods would be tagged the next day. And I got tagged by the city because the paint on my front steps were chipping. The paint, and needed to be painted. We say we're part of the community, we want to be part of the community. Well then, let's take care of the outside of a lot of these buildings and that. And let's follow the city ordinances also. You're not excluded. And then another thing I wanted to talk about tonight, and I understand what you're saying. So my son's at Washington campus this year. He had a hard time with math last year in algebra with language barriers and whatnot within his classroom. He barely passed that class. So I got his schedule yesterday. So they decided, who puts the kids in these classes? So they decided to put him in pre-calculus. He barely passed algebra. So we're just setting him up to fail? And I emailed the principal about, I didn't get the email back about what we're going to do, because obviously it needs to be changed. Because I'm not going to set my kid up to fail before he even starts. If he barely passed algebra last year, how are we going to put him in pre-calculus? Who decides this stuff? They give a wish list when their guidance counselor of what they want, and half the classes that he wanted, he ain't even put in. That stuff needs to change. And then another thing, I just want to know, I wasn't able to go to the resource fair, but as a district, I hope we put in next year the resources like we put into the staff event, and how much money we spent at the staff event, let's put that money in for the students. Don't put on the flyers limited supplies, first come, first serve. Let's make sure they have all the supplies they need.
Thank you, Mrs. Becky. Thank you to all those who gave public comment. We are now at, we're going down, there are no consent agendas. So purchases and contracts, we have item 12A, approval of the JRT furniture purchase revision.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education approves the remaining purchase of furniture for 2 classrooms and 1 teacher's lounge for the JROTC program. The remaining furniture purchase from Lakeshore Learning Material values at $28,527.55.
I motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez, second by Mr. Riddle. Any comments, questions on the motion?
Just to clarify that this is approval of more funds for the invoice than what was previously in an item at the July meeting.
Right, it was miscalculated.
It was miscalculated.
Right.
Thank you for that. Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 12B, approval of independent contract with James Lee.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent or her designee to approve independent contractual services with sole proprietor James Lee in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
What is this? Who is James Lee?
Ms. Erbach, would you like to speak to this, please?
So James Lee is our athletic trainer. So he's doing an independent contract with the district to service all our athletes. So we have training services and concussion protocols and impact testing, and he will be on campus to do that. In the past, we've used ATI, Athletico. He's just an independent contractor.
Okay. And he's skilled.
He's licensed in athletic training, yes.
Okay. Will he be also, will he be at games?
He'll be at practices every single day. He'll be on campus every day. He'll be at games, at all the home games.
Then that's football and basketball?
Yes, all year long.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. If there are no further questions, roll call vote.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. All right, now we have item 12C, approval of ratified SEIU custodial and maintenance contract for July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2028.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the administration to approve the ratified contract with the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 73, and to authorize the Board President and the Secretary of the Board of Education to sign the agreement on behalf of the Waukegan Community Unit School District 60 Board of Education.
I motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Gonzalez.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fabian. Any comments or questions on the motion?
That this just recognizes year 1 and 2 for 3, 4, 5 to be decided at a later date, and that it has increases and a one-time payment for the first 2 years.
I'd like to just
clarity.
say that our SEIU unit, bargaining unit, and I'm just going to call them our workers, our staff. They do an awesome job around the district. I often believe that that these people are the ones that are kind of like the backbone, because if things weren't done by them, then we would be in trouble. And so I'm praying that this is all that they have, that they've agreed to, and that it's okay. And with that, I will support it.
Yeah, I want to thank all of those who are at the negotiating table, but both sides. We appreciate our unions in the SEI union, and as Ms. Hannah stated, for everything that they do. So I'm happy that we came to a resolution. This is obviously goes back to July 1, and there are, again, I appreciate the relationship that we have with the SEIU SEIU union. With that, roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
I'm going to vote yes, and just to comment on it, there is a component that I don't personally agree with, but I'm going to extend my trust that the representation at the table, we're having honest and open conversations to come to an agreement that really does benefit everyone. So putting my personal feelings aside, I will vote yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Congratulations. All right, we are at personnel items, so we got 13A, attendance at 2023 CUBE conference.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education approve the attendance of Board Member Carolina Fabian at the 2023 National Association of School Boards CUBE conference in Chicago, Illinois, from September 14th through September 16th at an estimated cost of $2,000, which includes registration, lodging, and per diem.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I have a comment.
Right. Why is it just her? Are we all the
Ours were already approved.
You got,
I had to
get employment to agree.
Oh,
Go ahead,
and-
Ms. Gonzalez.
Sorry, I just also wanted to note that this is going to be a very busy weekend. I feel like a lot of things are falling on September 16th because that's Mexican Independence Day. So I'm not going to CUBE, but I will represent at all the things that the district has signed up for.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item 13B, engagement of legal counsel, multi-district social media litigation.
It is recommended that the Board of Education adopt the resolution under which General Counsel will engage France Law Group, APLC, with Forensic PC and local co-counsel to represent the district in bringing and prosecuting a civil complaint against various social media companies in the United States District Court for the Northern District of California.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions?
This is a good thing because we only gain from it, and I did want to add that a lot of, we've been talking about since our previous board of how to get more and more into the 21st century, but I think, our students not being grade level ready for reading and math and all these things. But I think one factor that we don't ever consider educationally is social media and technology, because it is addictive. It does hurt our students' self-esteem. So this is a way for a lot of school districts to rally around this cause, and we only gain from it. So I just wanted to clarify the intention behind that.
Right. And secondly, there is no upfront cost on this. If a settlement was reached, it would be taken out of the settlement, the attorney fees, right?
And I also want to commend the district for looking at these opportunities. We joined the Jewel litigation as well as some other things, and so we know the harmful effects that social media has had. We witness them every day. We talk about safety and the way that fights are able to be organized and online. We also talk about the fact that these advertisers know how the marketing influence students, yet they continue to do it as a as a way to make money.
Right.
And so I think that it's time to, I would appreciate if we do find a way to hold companies accountable, because while it is a great tool and a great resource, we do understand the impact that social media has on the adult mind but definitely on adolescent minds. Ms. Lindsay.
I just want to remind parents out there, know what your kids are doing online, right? So we know the harmful effects of social media. We also know that it is an access point for groomers to come in and connect with your students and to identify with them and build a relationship with them. And then later, the worst things a parent could think of may happen. So get involved in what your kids are doing online. I'm glad the district is participating in this so that we can get some benefits to help students with that. But get nosy. You're a parent. It's okay.
Thank you. There are no further questions or comments. Roll call vote.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lansing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved. Motion carries.
And I want to call a point of order, Mr. President, because on the item for the James Lee,
Yes, ma'am.
the date was wrong, and we need to correct that. And I don't know, Kathy, I'm going to look it for you. What
So a motion
what
to
we
consider.
need to do because the dates are wrong.
12B.
Right.
12B, yeah.
The public comment, the public information section indicates the contract is for the 22-23 school year. It would be the 23-24 school year. Mr. Clary, can you please double check that the actual contract has the right year in it? If not, we'll have to remotion to ensure it's the correct year.
And so.
So should we re-motion now though, or
So
how do we?
council, do
But
we need to
the
recall
motion,
that?
the motion itself does not reference the year. As long
Okay.
as the contract attachment has the correct year in it, we should be fine. It's just the public comment
Yeah.
section and explanation, so we're making it clear to the public it's for this upcoming school year,
Yeah.
not the prior year.
The contract does show in the attachment 8/1/2023 to 7/31/2024.
Okay. We should be fine then. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
and-
Ms. Hannah, for catching that.
Yes, and I just want to make sure that when things are put on board docs, that someone looks over it to make sure that the information that's being brought before the Board of Education has accurate information.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Item 13C, personnel for 8/10/23.
It is the recommendation of the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, retirement, extension, and accept the resignations as found on schedules F1002, corrected, L949, and G660.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
We're hiring a lot of teachers. We still have a lot of outstanding postings, and one of the things that I want to talk about right now is we have the opportunity to kind of help our teacher shortage. I came across some information, very pertinent information, that I did forward to board president, superintendent, and legal, and it's regarding the retiree return to work program, and I think that that's something that that we need to look into to kind of help our teacher shortage. If we can get retirees that want to come back to help us in our classroom, that this process, according to what I understand, involves the steps of the superintendent making a request. It goes to the ROE, it goes to TRS, and I'm not sure if it goes to the state of Illinois or the State Board of Education. But I think that this needs to be looked into very seriously, so that that we can at least, possibly have experienced teachers that are going to come back, and instead of them just being here for 120 days, as it won't affect, if we put in the request, get it approved, well, go through the process, get it approved, then the retirees don't have to worry about getting penalized with their pensions. And we need the help. And so hopefully we will be able to look into that and to do that, for our district.
So I'm going to take the motion that's presented, and then I'm going to get consensus, because I would agree with you, Ms. Hannah, that that's a great idea. So for item 13A, if there are no other comments or questions.
Just for the record, we have asked the administration to provide the number of guidance counselors at Brookside, because it was noted that a substantial number of them have decided to resign, and in preparation for the start of the new year, I just wanted that to come before the board, hopefully sooner rather than later. So
yes,
just so it's noted that we asked that.
Ms. Lindsay.
In addition to what Ms. Hannah's talking about at the federal level, Governor Pritzker back in March said he's dedicating $70 million in terms of grants for teachers who are having a hard time filling positions, the hardest hit districts. So I'd be curious to see where we are with that and accessing that grant, because any money we can actually use to get qualified teachers in our classrooms to support our students, it not only helps our students, it helps our fellow teachers and other staff in the buildings.
Absolutely. And I know that through my research and looking into this, there's also Governor Pritzker just signed in and has many grants that are available now, and one was for teachers, one was for mental health. There's a bunch of them that I think that the district needs to look into to receiving, because the money is there. The governor has put the money there, and I'm not talking about throwing money at things, but I'm talking about looking into things and just doing what's best for our children.
Right.
Thank you, Ms.
Can I ask a
Ms. Fabian had a hand, and then I see you, Ms. Lindsay.
Okay.
I agree with all of those sentiments regarding our teachers. I'm also seeing a lack of paraprofessionals. So I just want to take the opportunity to remind the public as well. There is a short-term certificate that you can get to become a paraprofessional, which does not require you to have an associate's degree and allows you 3 years to pass the required tests. Because I think we do talk a lot about teacher shortage, but overall staff, we really need our parapros as well. And so if we can kind of advocate to HR to really get information out there that, we also need that support staff in place, and what are they doing to also recruit for those other positions that we're seeing such a shortage in. So just letting the community know, because I know a lot of times the community thinks you have to have a degree or to come to work, but really if we're encouraging our families and our community to come back, we need to let them know that there are these other avenues and opportunities available.
Thank you for that reminder, Mr. Riddle, and then I saw you, Ms. Lindsay. I'm sorry.
Right. Another idea that has come up that I've heard is we do have $30 million in ESSER money that's left, and you can use that money for bonuses, for teacher bonuses. So I just throw that out for the district to consider whether
asterisk for Ms. Polk.
Yes, I know, but
don't use that language.
If you were to take, even just 10 million of that, for some bonuses for teachers or positions that are hard to replace, Again, that would have to be negotiated with the unions and everything, but I know there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. But you can use ESSER money for bonuses. And the
Asterisk.
bonus might be to stay another year. You give all teachers $5,000, but they don't get it until.
I'd caution against the
Yeah, I know. I'm just throwing that out as another possibility. ESSER money can be used for that purpose. And, it would, imagine that next year we had 0 teachers retiring because they had a bonus. Just a thought.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off that.
Right.
Okay,
I'm a caution the board.
No, wait a minute. Let me just say this. If we are going to give teachers the bonuses,
Let me
we
caution the
also
board.
have- But we
Let
also
me
have-
caution the
Let
board.
the president caution the board.
We don't want to overpromise or oversell.
We don't want to
Again,
overspeak.
what I
Yeah,
will
our-
say is I got here last week, and while we talk about ESSER funds and while we talk about the amount of fund balances that we have,
Right.
I also want to remind the board, as someone in finance and banking, is that we are not in the rosiest of financial
No.
conditions,
Right.
and we are headed towards a cliff as it relates to ESSER funds drying up. So I want to make sure that we have fair compensation, and we
Right.
can have a conversation on fair compensation, but what that looks like and the fiscal impact that is to the district has to be considered. So what I will say is we do need to make sure that we are filling our roles. This helps get us towards that way, and let's find some creative and collaborative ways in working with our unions in order to make sure that we both retain
Right.
staff
And
as
fill.
well as can get new staff members here
Right,
in the
but let me
district.
finish what I was saying. We talked about the teachers, right? But we also have the paraprofessionals.
All our staff.
That look, if they gonna get bonuses, look, they need to get bonuses too. They're very low paid.
Yeah, I think it's the capital improvement projects also on the table in regards to those funds.
Right. I think the board president cautioned us.
Yeah.
We really have to be careful with our money. That money will not come again.
But let's manifest more money. Let's keep it.
We're in
Keep bringing in
negotiations.
the money.
We're in
Yeah.
negotiations with a number. Well, right now, with our teachers, our teachers union, right? So we're looking to have a robust contract with them, right? So let's get through that phase first, and then we can talk about everything else. And we just completed some other contracts that the board is being briefed on. So let's deal with what's in front of us, please, so that we don't overpromise and not be able to underdeliver.
We
if
not
that's
promising.
okay.
Miss Lindsay.
Well spoken. Thank you, Superintendent.
Miss Lindsay.
Very important.
So I'm glad I heard it from you, President Ewing, that if we are looking, once we get through what's on our plate currently and we're ready to add more so that we can honor our teachers and attract teachers for these vacant positions, that we are also considering those that are staying with us. So that retention piece must be a part of it. So if we're going down that route, I'm saying here and now, retention must be a component from my perspective if we're going to get a yes out of me. So back to what I was originally going to talk about. So the grants that we're talking about, I would be remiss if I didn't also make a comment that we will need to have grant managers that we can trust that will make sure that we are using these funds, right? Because it doesn't make sense to put our lovely grant writer through the rigmarole to get the grants and not have people in place to actually fulfill what you're supposed to be doing per that grant. So just making sure that we're keeping that in mind as well. And as to wanting to know about recruitment for our paraprofessionals, I'm still curious to hear back from the HR department what our local recruitment efforts have been. We've had people say that we still have a number of vacancies out there. So I am curious to see what our current local efforts are done. We've gotten some great results out of international. What's going on with local? Because I don't see us hopping on a plane again. I want to know what's going on here.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes, and welcome to the new staff.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes, given all of the considerations and comments that we've made about some of the concerns we've already raised.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. There are some administrative appointments.
At this time, I'd like to recognize Ms. Jacqueline Wentz, who previously served as a district translator at Lincoln Center. She will now serve as the manager of EL Student Data and Assessment here at Lincoln Center with a starting salary of $75,000. Congratulations, Ms. Wentz.
Welcome.
Our next appointee is Amelia Sola, who previously was a teacher of bilingual social studies at Miguel Juarez Middle School. She will now serve as the manager of EL here at Lincoln Center with a starting salary of $78,000. Congratulations, Ms. Sola, and I do see you in the audience.
Welcome.
Our next appointment will be Stephen Bone, who had previously served as a teacher of diverse learners, self-contained at Little Fort Elementary. He will now serve as the new assistant principal at Clearview Elementary School with a starting salary of $74,500. Congratulations.
All right, so congratulations and welcome to all. Next up on the agenda, unless the board has any conflicts, I'm going to ask for us to take items 16A and B together. Do we have a motion?
I motion.
Second.
All right, so that's a motion 16A for resolution of the Board of Education to authorize interfund loans among various funds and general fund as provided in the school code. And then B, ratification of the first processing of August 2023 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 19th, 2023, August 1st, 2023. So if you can read both motions, Superintendent.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the treasurer to make any and all interfund loans with the general fund not to exceed the aggregate sum of $10,700,000 as authorized in the Illinois School Code 105 ILCS 5/10-22.33 as required in order to make appropriate payments of expenditures of the school district. This authorization will expire on July 1st, 2024.
Read the second motions.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first August 2023 processing of board bills, manual check requests, payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 19, 2023 through August 1st, 2023. The accounts payable board payments for the period of July 19, 2023 through August 1st, 2023 totals $1,506,051.05. The manual check request payments for the period of July 19, 2023 through August 1st, 2023 total $3,489,462.60. The Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of July 19, 2023 through August 1st, 2023 totals $2,347,407.25.
I make a motion that we take these separate. Because I got a question.
We don't need a motion to take them separate.
Okay.
If that's we already have a motion to approve both of them. Do you all withdraw your motions?
I withdraw.
I'll withdraw mine.
Thank you. So I'm not going to have you read the motions,
Right.
Superintendent.
Yeah,
We're going to take item 16A as previously read. Are there any comments or questions related to the motion?
Yes, could
Do we have a Ms. Hannah is the motion for 16A? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lindsay. Comments or questions related to the motion?
yes, I just want to know where the where the $10,700,000 is going, and I'm looking at, if I'm reading it correctly, it's going into operations, and where is this $10,700,000 going? What is it going to be used for?
Okay. Board President, board members, superintendent, community members, and colleagues. This is an annual requirement. Periodically, we do not have the cash flow in order to pay bills out of certain funds, right? So when we give you the treasurer's report, we typically break it down by what is the cash balance, not the fund balance, but the cash balance that's in each of the funds. So I need board authorization to allow me to be able to loan money in the other funds to pay the bills. One of the funds that we typically have a shortage of cash at certain times is capital projects. So we need to be able to loan money between those. So the reason why it's $10,700,000 is because by statute we have to look at how much we've levied taxes and funds that cap. So in other words, Ms. Hannah, that money is going to remain in the fund that it's in until we have to loan it to pay bills, because we can't pay what we don't have.
Right, okay, but my question,
Yeah.
Ms. Pope,
Yeah.
with all due respect,
Yeah.
where is $10,700,000 going to be used at? Because it's going in to operations. Well, I'm looking at, unless I'm reading it incorrect.
Yes, ma'am. It's going to remain wherever it is. Most of that money is in the working cash fund.
Okay.
And so we're only going to move it when we're short, when we don't have it in that fund. And then once we get the money back into that fund, we move it back to where we loaned it from.
Okay, and I'm a little confused, right? Because in our reports, in our budget reports, financial reports, we were excited and happy about our reserve. So if we have that amount of money in our reserve, why are we messing with our
General fund?
cash fund? Why are we messing with that? Why can't we leave that where it is and take money from out of that reserve? That reserve should be there to pay the bills.
Yes.
And so I'm a little confused. And I'm not saying that I know anything, okay? But I'm confused.
Yeah, and I would prefer that you would ask those questions so that we can clear it up. We do have the reserves, but when you looked at that budget document that we gave to you, we said that the amount of revenue that we get in the current year is not sufficient, so we have to draw from that balance, right? So let's say, we have $50 million worth of payments in a particular fund. And the fund balance at that particular time, due to the timing of receipts, is 55. We have to get the 5 million from somewhere. So the only way that I can borrow from another fund is if the board authorizes me to be able to do that. But before the end of the year, I have to move it back.
Right, and that's how come I'm confused. Why can't we get $10,700,000 out of the reserve and put it where it's needed? Why can't we do that instead of messing with our cash fund?
I would, but if the reserve is not sufficient at that moment, we're projecting out through the end of the year that we're going to be okay, right? But at that point in time, if I'm short, if we don't get the grant reimbursements in time, if there's a delay in our general state aid, if there's a delay in our property tax receipts, we're hopeful that that will never happen. But let's say if it is, and I need to continue to make payroll, I need to continue to pay bills, I need board authority.
Yeah, I know.
To do it.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying. Why if we have these huge beginning fund balances, do we need this resolution to be able to borrow?
Larger than normal.
Right.
Larger than normal. If it happens, I need it.
Right.
Yes.
And I think something that you mentioned, Ms. Polk, that sometimes it's hard to wrap around is that some of the funds that were allocated, we only get reimbursed for, right? So we say, for example, like we have $1 million, but I gotta spend $1 million first and then wait for it to come back to me, right? So that's kind of what the issue is right now, like
timing of receipts.
Timing.
Yeah.
And the state is slow, so
at times.
Yeah.
Better than it used to be. Miss Lindsay, I'm sorry.
So just to clarify, right? Essentially, this is an insurance.
Yes.
Perspective that we're taking, right?
Yes.
We're covering ourselves
Yes.
should something happen.
Yes.
We have the best laid plans.
Yes.
We don't have a crystal ball to know
Yes.
exactly what's going to happen.
Yes.
So to protect ourselves
Yes.
from getting in trouble,
Yes.
this is the action we're going to take.
Yes.
And by July 2024, July
Yes.
1st to be exact, those funds will be replenished
Have
back.
to. Yes.
Have to be, are required to be, so
Yes.
they will be. So
Yes.
since it's required, they will be.
Yes.
And then can you just refresh me, or teach me rather, the benefits of also keeping funds in the reserve and not using those?
Yes. Working cash, we have to come to the board if we want to dissolve it. We can't just abolish the working cash fund. And that was one of the pet peeves for Mr. Godin when he was here. He always wanted to have that reserve because that's the fund that we borrow from, in the times that the district didn't have money that we explained before. We're much healthier than we were then, but still, if there's an emergency that were to happen, a roof collapse, we don't know what would happen.
Exactly.
We can always come to the board and say we want to remove some money from the working cash permanently, and we have that option. Otherwise, what we did before, we had to go out for loans because, we just didn't have the money.
We're not doing that.
Can I ask a clarifying point
Yeah.
then? So when we take it out of reserve, that's a permanent aspect.
If we're moving it out of working cash. But when it's just like a bank account. If you're talking about the education fund, if we come in with a positive fund balance and we spend more than we taken in, then we're reducing the amount of money that we had in the bank.
Right.
That's all that is. So if you're talking about that reserve in terms of the fund balance coming in each of the funds, that's how it works. But if you were talking about the reserves that we have in the working cash fund, that would be permanent, moving it over, but we really don't want to do that.
So you're saying that we are depleted in our working cash?
No.
They don't want to do that to us,
Nope.
is what you're
We
saying.
have 27 million in the working cash fund.
Okay, I'm not going to keep belaboring this,
Yeah.
but I will be in your office tomorrow morning so that you can explain this to me, because I'm not getting this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand safety nets, understand moving money, but my question still didn't get answered. But we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, Superintendent?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Miss Hannah.
Maybe. Can I vote maybe?
You want to pass?
I will. I'll vote for it, but I'm still gonna be in the finance office in the morning.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Now we have item 16B as previously read.
I make a motion.
Motion by Ms. Hannah.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lansing. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I just wanna make sure that board members are really perusing these items on the financial reports. We just shouldn't be glossing over them. We really should be looking at them and making sure that that all is well with this.
Thank you. Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Riddle?
Yes.
Ms. Hannah?
Yes.
Ms. Fabian?
Yes.
Ms. Lensing?
Yes.
President Ewing?
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Committees.
It was already done.
Committees have
I
not
thought we-
restarted.
Did we assign them already?
No.
Nope.
No, okay. Then not.
That's on me. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. But 17B, are there any delegates reports, Ms. Hannah?
Just briefly, just want to remind, okay, wait, there's that, I wrote it down. Okay, that there are 3 webinars, being conducted in August. Hopefully, board members will sign up for them, register for them. And I just want you all to remember that each webinar gives board members points for their master board status, master board member status. And so, it'd be really good for all of us sitting up here to become master board members. And so I'm going to encourage that. Also, that the CUBE conference is going to be held in Chicago this year. And that's good. And so hopefully we will be able to also include more staff, whether it is whether they're commuting or whatever. But the conference, the CUBE conference, is so wonderful, and it's filled with information. And also, maybe we can look at getting some interested community members down to the CUBE conference as well. Just putting it out there as a thought.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. 17C, Superintendent's Report.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So we welcomed all of our staff back yesterday. We had an amazing beginning of the year staff kickoff. The staff did such an amazing job. I really want to give a big shout out to Lori Massimo and Tim Briner that practically slept at Weissville to ensure that everything was perfect, and there was a whole committee, so everyone that volunteered, even the volunteers that cooked the food, served the food, all the dancing that took place. I think actually we need to submit District 60 into a dance competition because we definitely have some moves. Secondly, there's a number of open houses that are taking place. Many of them some of them were this evening. I know my son's open house was this evening, and back to school is on Monday, August 14th. I know kids are excited. They're looking in their closets. What are we going to wear? Getting their backpacks. If you do not have a backpack for your child, please email me and we will get you a backpack. And my email is on the district website. Just go to Waukegan Public Schools and go to the office of the superintendent. Just email me personally and we'll ensure that we get everyone a backpack so that you start school with all the supplies you need. Second, at this point, I just want to ask Jennifer Rice-Dela Sanchez, our Director of Teaching and Learning, to come up. And what we're going to see this evening is our professional development calendar for the year. And it's going to be a menu of services that touch all of our staff members, from teachers to paras, instructional coaches, our climate and culture, etc., etc. So I'll let you take it over at that point.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent, President, community, and colleagues. What we have this year is we really wanted to have a comprehensive, forward-thinking plan for every one of our stakeholders across multiple departments. And so what you'll see here within our menu, at the top of our menu, in the color purple, these are all of our required, our training that will be between roles and responsibilities. So for example, training throughout the year within our science of reading, our research-based reading and writing, for our school leaders such as instructional coaches, instructional support leaders.
Do we mind if we hold until we get a visual up? Because some people are really oral language comprehension, some are visual language comprehension. So if we could just pause and get that up, that would be great.
Nicholas?
I think he's on it.
They're working on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I saw murmuring. Can I make a comment really quick on the superintendent's report? Everything was great. It was a lot of fun. I also want to make sure that we acknowledge our community partners, because at the event, Nick said that we had to track down 1,000 donuts, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. It looked like jewel boxes. 2,000. Woo! So I don't know who the service providers of the donuts.
A few.
Oh, a few, several. Well, thank you. Donut suppliers. And then also to Drip and Culture, they did stay extra to provide their delicious coffee. So we just want to make sure that they also get that shout out, because it was awesome.
And while we're waiting, I guess I'm going to go reference the superintendent's report too regarding the kickoff. I would like to acknowledge all of our nurses that were the nursing team that was at the kickoff. I heard everybody being mentioned, and I did not hear them, whether they were, and I wasn't listening or wasn't there. But I do want to give them kudos for their presence at the kickoff. And I heard they had the IEDs out there, I guess blood pressure things. They were doing all kinds of things. So I just want to give them a big shout out, and and we appreciate you and value you too.
Yeah, it was just a big event. There's a lot to cover. It was really good.
It was good.
Thank you.
I think we're ready at this point. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you. I've seen it come up.
Okay, so as far as our professional development plan, and also just proposals that are across all of our departments, Mr. White, you could go ahead and move to the third slide. We will click on the very top link, which will lead you to the exact the menu that we're working on and developing. But what we're going to see are 3 different segments within our PD menu. At the very top, we're going to see purple. These are required PD for all of our schools, and these are within roles and responsibilities. So, for example, professional development that will be throughout the year for our instructional coaches, our instructional support teachers, our interventionists. We have curriculum writing, curriculum mapping within multiple grade bands. So what we wanted to do was to create communication and clarity around when these dates are before the school year even starts, so we can plan around them. We also wanted to ensure that leadership roles are there, our culture and climate specialists, our professional development around branching minds. When we click on any of those, what you'll see, Lee, if you were to click on the instructional coaches for me, thank you. If you were to click on that, what you would see if you were an instructional coach, you can go ahead, Lee, is what the days would be, the times, where the location will be, what our description of that professional learning is, and as well as objectives. Thank you, Lee, and you can go back to the original document. All of our professional development look like that. Teams have planned around ensuring that objectives are there so that we see what we're going to be learning that day.
Can we do mapping? Can you show us mapping?
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, if you go to K5, or even if we were to go to 6-8, one or the other would be fine. Within our mapping this year, what we're doing to enhance our curriculum within the elementary is we really want to have a hiring process of folks that really want to be a part of this. What we want to focus on is we're enhancing our curriculum, the C. We're also going to have a team that will be on enhancing our instruction and providing instructional scaffolds into our units, and this has been a lot of feedback that we've been receiving across the last year, as well as our assessments and how do we have an assessment team. So we really think that building the capacity of folks that are really intrigued to enhance our curriculum, as well as to provide, and Ms. Hannah, we were even talking about this within the instructional piece, having parent brochures. So if we're going into 3rd grade, how could we have a brochure of all of the themes, the writing that we're going to learn in 3rd grade, and really have a comprehensive program? So appreciate all that feedback. Within the yellow of our PD menu, this is where we're going to house all of our Institute days. So there in August is what we're currently in right now for this week. Coming in September, we will have our December in advance there and all of our agendas and the school's agendas, and we organize all that for everyone, and the same for April. What we have below that is for our Great Beginnings, our 1st and 2nd year teacher. We have all of those agendas in there that were this month. We will have in September also for our November, our late Great Beginnings that we have for our later starts, as well as all of our 1st and 2nd year teacher mentors and the support dates that they have professional development. What you'll notice at the bottom of this is new to our district this year within each of these veins of disciplines. So, for example, within literacy, within math, within social science, these are all professional developments that have been created by our coordinators, the leaders of these disciplines, in which will enhance anyone in our district that would want to go. You do not need to be a certified teacher, do not have to have a Pell. Anyone that is interested intrinsically of learning more about math, more about social science, can sign up for these within Frontline. Within Frontline. So, for example, Lee, if you were to go to science and you were to click on grades 6 through 8, again, you'll see a very similar and linear looking template to organize all of this, and this is another example. I can see in advance, and I could look at these as options as something that may interest me in the future. So what I'm asking Dr. Vassal to do, and anyone that is providing professional development, and they will work on uploading any of these PD sessions and all these PD sessions within our Frontline system. That's where our staff enroll in them. If a teacher, if a staff member does have a Pell, they will be able to earn professional development hours. These professional development hours are what support the renewal of their licensure. If they do not have a Pell, it's fine. It's really just adult learning. It's still professional development, and that's really what it's about, right? And providing supports. Yeah, that's what we call them now. They were formerly known as CPDUs, and now they're professional development hours or PDHs. So Lee, if you were to go back to that. So what you'll see now is anything that is within a blue link, those have been baked out and they're ready to go. If they're not, you'll see that we have TBD, to be determined. So for example, on the secretaries and or within our WIPS union, we're working with secretary teams to be able to provide differentiated support for needs that they're saying that they want. So what's previously happened is we'd had professional development institute day that is universal, and this is for all. And it could be training on a new program or a new feature within Infinite Campus or any of the online platforms that they work in. But what we haven't provided yet for them is, let's say someone's hired and they're a secretary at a school and they're not familiar with Google Suites or with Google Excel sheets. Or they may want to work collaboratively on some sort of system or filing or queue, right, within their building. And so the goal would be that we have leaders that would be able to lead these professional development sessions for their own team members in these professional learning communities. So that ultimately is the goal. So that's one example. As far as paraprofessionals could choose any of the provided professional development at the top in blue, but we also want to make sure that we're working with them and getting feedback on what, just like the secretaries, what do they need, right? And so we'll be working on that and getting feedback from them what they need. For the bottom, we haven't filled this out, so one example would be for our WIN trainers. Our WIN trainers work on technology within our district, and so these are really just specific roles that we want feedback from them to see how we can enhance and provide professional development for them moving forward. And it's really about their agency and their choice. So we're proud of this thus far. It is a work in progress. And being able to offer professional development for all of our district is important. Yeah.
Can we do questions now?
Yeah.
Is the presentation done?
Yeah, the presentation was the third slide, and it was just a high overview of the blue, the yellow, and the green. And
Yep.
I actually just prefer the original.
Got you.
Yeah.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Okay. One, kudos to you for creating a calendar. I think that this is something that like we've wanted to see in the past of like what it actually looks like to build out this kind of curriculum even for our own staff. And I know a couple years ago, this is actually what some of the counselors had suggested. I know that they're a part of the bracket that hasn't been built out yet, but they were willing to, you know, if there was opportunity for them to share what they know to other staff, to know how to talk to students, how to, so like that social emotional piece. My question is, say you're a school staff leader and you get called to, like, how do you get called to do the sessions, and do we compensate them for doing the teaching component?
Yeah, that's actually what we've talked about, especially those that are leading it, that are not leaders that lead it. So for example, Dr. Vassell, that's his job. This is our job. So we gladly do that. But folks that have something to offer, and also we learn from others the best, right? So that is definitely something that we're pushing for, is how do we have student teachers that have beyond this? I may have, so the answer is yes, just so you know. And then also, how do we build their capacity as leaders? So yes, we pay them. We would offer any kind of support and training they would need, right, on just our kind of our algorithm of sorts, like here's our PowerPoint, you know, a little package of here's kind of how we have things. We want your creativity to that. But we want to add eventually even more enhancements, such as engagement strategies, how to use a interactive reader's notebook, like the things that are in addition to this, another layer of professional development. Here it's a little bit more just around our core instruction, and how do we just get even better than we are around our core instruction, right, within all of these systems. And then how do we take it to a next level? So, and this is our second year within this system, and or maybe it's going into our third year. The first year I started, this system was new. And so yeah, it's important just to get better and to hear the needs of our staff and also their feedback that help us with that. So yeah, so that's exciting stuff. We really want leaders and teachers that lead that.
Thank you. Ms. Fabian?
So I have a couple of questions. One is clarifying the curriculum mapping. I've had some teachers reach out that it's not completed. So when you're doing these PDs for curriculum mapping, is it they're reviewing what's there? Like we have all 4 quarters for school year 24, and you're just reviewing and refining for school year 25.
Yeah, exactly. We're working on it for the upcoming year. What we have is a comprehensive framework. Teachers still plan It's there. Our resources are there for you to choose from at all various levels of text, different books. But what this is doing for the curriculum writing this year is to enhance exactly what they have based on the feedback that our schools are given. So for example, teachers will say, this framework's great, we need a little bit more. We would love a little bit more guidance as far as weekly activities that we could work on, right, that align to these themes. And so we would love an instructional team that can help with those activities.
So it's a general
example.
framework that just gives you a unit and overarching
It's a
question
scope
and
and
not actual
sequence.
curriculum?
It's a unit that has all of the curricular resources in it. It has, here's what we work on each week, here's our common assessment. We can share it with you all if you haven't. It's,
Okay.
it's within our online platform.
Yeah, I would like to see, just to make sure that,
course.
that it is correct, that all 4 quarters are in there for all
Yeah.
grade levels. And I'm glad that you stated that last piece, that you're looking for people who genuinely want to do this work, because that was another concern, that people were being assigned that really were not enthusiastic, and that's why some of that work stalls.
Yeah.
The second question is, when are you guys planning to get that feedback for those parapros, secretaries, all of that the other groups of training? Because my issue is just you missed the beginning of the year PDs, you know, and that's
Well, these
a
would
good
be, we'll get it
opportunity.
soon. We'll get it soon, but these would be, they're not just an institute day. These would be offered throughout the semester after school.
I get that, but I'm just saying, like, I know they have their time to get together too during this beginning of the year time, and that would have been a great start for them to, for those that are, like you said, new secretaries, new paras, to really know my role and what I'm supposed to do. That's the only thing I'm concerned about, is that, like,
Well,
we're
it's
kind of missing the
baby
boat there.
steps, Miss Fabian.
I
It's
know.
baby
I
steps.
gotcha.
We working. We're building the infrastructure, and I'm proud of it. And we're just going to keep going from here. And so that's what we'll keep doing.
Okay,
And we
as long
work
as
with
can
we
get
work
that
closely with them.
soon.
Yeah.
The last question is just the DEI training, is just ensuring that if that's something that could be open to the board, to the public,
yes,
and to families, just so that we're all using the same language and understanding where we're moving.
I love
especially
that,
with
yes.
the equity journey continuum.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Brycel Sanchez, though, I do think that you should touch on, there was PD given for our secretaries. Eric Christensen did give that PD. So as we are opening, safety is also receiving PD under our Director of Safety. So this is a menu of services. I mean, that we'll eventually bake that all in as we begin school, but that they can have continual ongoing learning throughout the year. But there was specific PD designed for different areas within the district.
Thank you. Ms. Anna.
Okay, I was looking under the guide that you showed us, right? And under the paras, right? Don't you all think that the paras need to have in services that include de-escalation, building relationships with students? And now, you know, I understand all of the general stuff, the blood-borne pathogens and all of that stuff. That's elementary, and I'm sure that you guys have that every year, right? Every year it's reoccurring, right? But I think that particularly for the older and long-term paras, I think, and it's just me, and I certainly hope I'm not stepping on your toes, but they need to go into a little bit more comprehensive things. Like I said, de-escalation, student relationships, you know, all of those things that are really important, because I've been thinking about that. And how many times are they going to go through blood-borne pathogens?
Can you show the required ones?
And the required one, and
That's one of them.
yeah, it's already. I understand the required ones. I had to have them when I was a parent.
Right.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, there needs to be kind of some progression of what the paras are getting, in PD.
Yeah, Amy, you want to come up here just for the microphone for the staff? Yeah.
Good thing we're here. See, that's what happens when you show up.
That is.
It's good for you to show up.
I love it. I enjoy being here.
Thank you.
So yes, we do the same required trainings, but we do have some of the other things built in.
Okay.
Safety, all safety gets CPI,
Right.
the whole CPI.
Right.
Some of us do take CPI that aren't safety. So we do get the de-escalation. We get building trainings. So there is trainings. And to your point, specific trainings we've already gotten and we'll be getting tomorrow even. Specifically, some of them towards us, some of them general. Sometimes we're at the same trainings as the teachers. It just depends. I have had a meeting. So we are starting the process of some of that. It's just early in that process.
And you know that there's 2 groups of paras.
There's many groups.
Yeah, right.
Many groups.
You got your, I get it, the liaisons, all of that.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
And they have even separate training also.
Okay.
So like
Okay, that's what I was
we are
listening.
definitely broken up, and it's kind of a menu of here's where you go depending on where you are.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we got long-term safety officers, I'm gonna say, right? And they probably bored to death because it's over and over and over and over, even though new things do develop. Okay, but I think there needs to be a little bit more comprehensive things that they're learning.
Got it.
I agree.
Yeah,
But we've gotten better, I think. We're working to get better.
Okay.
And it's collaborative, and that
Yeah.
you both standing up there shows that it's a collaborative effort, and it's not being done to someone; it's being done together for coherency,
And
that's what's nice. I also think if you stop by the safety training, you're going to see a lot of experiential learning taking place. So there's been a lot of hard work that's gone into this, and a lot of collaboration with the teams and employees, right? So I just really want to point out that hard work, the communication that takes place between, everyone involved, and the collaboration to make it coherent for the staff. And thank you, Amy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, and
can I go to Ms. Lindsay, Ms. Hannah, unless it's
I'm just want to finish up. I just want to give. I met with Dr. Cesario, Ms. Dila Sanchez, yes, and Ms. Crawley, and it was very, very interesting, enlightening, hopeful. I'm encouraged, and I am stuck, as they can tell you, I'm stuck on the science of reading. And reading is my number one thing for our students, and I'm hoping that you all are going to form a committee.
Wink, wink.
That I'll be able to be on, because I love academics.
Yes.
And
Thank you so much.
I was very impressed with the information that I received, and I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Looking forward to all of it benefiting our children like it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And-
Well, to echo Dr. Cesario's words, we really appreciate your push, your relentlessness, and onward and upward. That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, and I do want to remind the board that we still have to go back into closed session. Ms. Lindsay.
So I had a couple of things, but based on comments, it got longer. Just because Ms. Hannah said that, there is actually a petition out there right now because I've said it, I'll say it again. I went to college to be an educator, to teach here in Waukegan. That didn't happen. But I worked in the private sector to do remediation in reading, which is based on the science of reading, and language comprehension. When I went to college, we did not get courses that taught us how to do it. My summer job led me to teach my own class. The TA was like, I don't know. I taught my class how to teach reading, right? So there is a petition now in Illinois that is asking that we require teacher prep programs to include that instruction. So hopefully with the help of the district, we can get that petition link out there so that not only teachers and staff and district employees can do it, but hopefully community members can do it too, because we really need to get that passed so our teachers come in prepared and we're not trying to lead the charge in getting them up to date. So that's just a plug. So hopefully we can get that petition out there and I'll send it on.
And the plug came, I have to say,
Oh, yes.
thank you for Ms. Lindsay. She has now joined the Illinois Literacy Coalition, and anybody is welcome to join the coalition. And the petition is coming from the coalition for literacy, and also the teacher prep. I have the information, Superintendent. I can forward it to you so that you can see, because they're working diligently with the colleges, trying to get the teacher preparation up to where it needs to be for reading.
So continuing on, if I could also, with my extensive background, be a part of this committee to help with the district, I'm all hands on deck because that's why I ran.
We love that.
Getting our reading scores up. Included with these trainings that we're doing, I was able to stop by with Ms. Hannah to the safety required trainings that they were doing, and I'll say it for the rest of the district. I'm in corporate. I have regular trainings that I have to do every year, and it's usually the same content. So I get the feeling that it's like, oh, this again. But we do appreciate all of our district staff attending those required meetings, because even though it feels like it's the same information, it's still very much required and an important refresher, right? So not only is it required, but we do value them. With that, there's, in the city of Chicago, it's required, along with anti-harassment training, to also have active bystander training. So that's something that I would be curious to see if District 60 can start implementing. It's kind of one of those, you're in a moment, and we've experienced it here on the board, right, where something happens and you don't know how to respond. So it's that fight or freeze. But this will give you some tools on how to call people in or reach out to others to get help. So I think that would be a valuable training that we can look at for all district staff, no matter what your position is.
Great, thank you.
And then with regard to the concern for the secretaries, as it's building out, I'm just assuming that it's going to be available sooner next year because it's already been built out.
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, it'll be, it's a this year thing for sure.
Right.
I mean, you know,
but
we'll get the
early
training wheels
access for
off.
next year.
Yes.
It'll be
Oh,
earlier
yes.
access next year.
Yeah.
And then I'm glad Ms. Fabian talked about it, the DEI, to also include families and community members. I actually want to expand that to as many things as possible. A lot of our parents don't know how to navigate the system when their student has a 504 or an IEP. So if we're already providing it for a staff member, if we can get like a virtual link for community members or family members, so that they have some ground information and they can take specific questions to the caseworker, whoever they're working with. So as many ways that we can provide the same appropriate type of content for families in the community, I think helps everybody, because knowledge is power. And then with this schedule, I do love, to Ms. Gonzalez's point, that it's been asked for and that it's together and we can see that roadmap. For the required trainings, are those already on teachers' calendars so they can like refresh their mind of, oh yes, this is coming up? Because telling them once, I mean, that's not how I roll. If you could do it, you Like props to you, but that's not my operating
Yes,
system.
for the required, and there is, I don't have the exact link because I know Miss Fabian had asked for the link of the required. So there is a list of required trainings, and I know that Miss Patty and Mr. Barry have worked with the building leaders, each leader, to how do they fit it in within their own school's professional development plan,
Right.
and the time that they're able to make that work and to offer time, right? And we really know that it's part of our professional responsibilities, but I know that our leaders work really hard to offer additional time just because, it's a work-life balance. So it is in there. We did share it out so that they could see all of the mandatory trainings. We provided today, actually in the afternoon, a chunk of time. We suggested the ones to do within those hours because of the fact that some of our mandatory trainings kind of need to be done within the first month. So we also parceled them out through the year, and these are the suggested ones, right, based on when the most important ones are there and to be done. So I know that there is a plan within each of the schools, an individualized plan for their teachers.
And like an export calendar so that like when they pull up their personal Google or their district email calendar, they can see, oh yes, this training is coming up.
It's
I need
actually
to
in their
remember.
front line. Within our front
Okay.
line, it goes directly to them. They're
Okay.
able to log in and they're uploaded within that. That's what Ms. Frank does within our district, yeah.
Okay, great, thank you.
And we're using it and we're getting used to it. So it's a little bit of growing pains, right?
Yeah.
And with all
Yeah,
of it, for them
change
to
is hard.
see it and
change.
So
and
yeah,
adjustment.
but it's a really great system in which it will be very user friendly once we get through it for about another year.
Okay, and then I lied, one more. For the optional ones, how often are we communicating their availability?
So what I've asked, just to see, I really don't know how many people are going to sign up, right? So I've asked, for example, to use Mr. Weber, right, within the social science ones that he has and he's baking out. I've asked for them to put one session to see how many people sign up each semester. So if he had 5 that he wanted to offer, I'm asking that he puts one in semester 1 of each of those 5, and then also one in semester 2, and we put the dates out, and we have about a cap of about 22 to 25 folks, so we're going to go from there.
Okay.
Because we're just we're going to see really who's interested and or which ones they're the most interested in. It'll be some good informal data for us to see what's being hit the most, and then okay, this may be something that we really need a little bit more often and or at individual schools. So it'll give us a little bit of that.
Okay, just like those frequent reminders, right? Because if I
Yeah.
see it once, it's like, yeah, I know it's there, I'll get back to it, but then my brain is like, ooh, squirrel.
Yes,
So
because those
just
will be in
refresh.
frontline too. So if as a staff member, I'll be able to see them for me and all the ones that are offered and the dates that they're offered.
Awesome, thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Thank you. We did have other old business items, but due to the hour and the fact that we have to go back into closed session, the old business that will be coming back. So if there are questions, comments, or concerns from administration, there was a request from 3 board members, Mr. Hinojosa, Ms. Lindsay, and Ms. Gonzalez, related to the student board member report. I've gotten their initial suggestions. I want to make sure the board does have those. It was uploaded as it wasn't even executive content. It was just uploaded with the last. It was on the last board docs. So go and look at it. There were some recommended changes, and so I need to hear feedback so that we can, not necessarily implement them. I don't know if there's a concurrence or majority, but discuss them. And then, I know that there were some questions that the administration had. I do not have what those questions or concerns are, so I would also encourage the administration, who would be tasked with implementing this, to make sure that their questions both come to me and Kathy through the superintendent, so that we can at least compile what we want to be thinking about as we look at the student board member policy.
Yeah, well, y'all can ask me what y'all need to know. I know the law.
Yeah, that's not.
Take a look at that
policy. Yeah,
I know the law.
Yeah, it's
so-
not a law question. It's how we want to implement it in District 60 question.
No, I understand that.
So,
I understand.
But we do have one old business item today that we're going to bring up, which is Board Policy 4302, Code of Conduct and Ethical Responsibilities. This is a second reading. I did not receive any comments, corrections, or clarifications. So with that,
Is this for the Board of Education?
It includes the Board of Education.
but yes, the personnel.
Well, I'm gonna ask for it to be held over because I did not look at this, and
It is the second reading.
I know we used to have 3 readings, but
It was sent last Friday.
Yeah.
So Ms. Hannah's asking that
I'm
we
asking
hold it
for
over.
it to just to be held over. It's a policy. It's not mandatory that we approve policies. You know, that's our work, and I want to look at it closely.
So then I think like the point of order here is for us to ensure that we're reading our items before our school board meetings, because this was a rescheduled board meeting, so we had more time to read it. And this is the second reading of it. It only includes.
It's only 2 readings when in fact it actually used to be 3 readings.
Right, and we're not.
If there were changes, we would
Right,
have 3.
yeah.
So I don't have a motion, and due to the fact that it's 9 and we have to go back into closed session, I will concur with Ms. Hannah and we will hold it over. But again, if there are questions, comments, or concerns, please get those to me and Kathy. When we don't hear back, we expect it to be, even if you don't agree, yes or no, you vote your conscience, and then we move it forward. So with that, can I have...
No, we need board member time, sir.
We need board member time.
If you want to put a time limit on us, if you want to put 3 minutes on the clock, I'm fine with that.
I
But we're
will-
about to start the school year.
School year, and
I get it, and I do it. All of it is important, and I do have to remind board as a whole. You all task me with being the reason that we don't get out of here. I'm telling you all that part of that is because of this. So I agree. Board member time is there, so we won't go back into closed session. I'm going to start at this end, Ms. Gonzalez.
No further comments other than I hope everyone has a really great start of the year. That's it.
I'm going to keep it short myself. Welcome to everybody back. Have a great year, and welcome back all students on Monday.
Miss Hannah.
Okay, I just want to I want to touch on some of the things that were said at a public audience time about we need to look into what's going on with the Black Student Union and make sure that whoever is in charge of that is conducting the sessions. I don't see you writing, Superintendent, but the Black Student Union, that needs to be, it's always been in our district, and there's always been activity around that. And also, I certainly hope that we hear what was said about the PE happening every 4 days. And instead of it being all piled in on 1 month and then the kids don't have it anymore. We are waiting on to hear more about the Black Boys Initiative, and one of my big things was that what are we doing for our, what strategies do we have for our high achieving students? You know, there's a spectrum that, you know, if the high achievers and the low achievers, okay, are getting things, but it seems like that has changed, where now the high achievers are kind of being left out of things because they're high achievers, and we need to make sure that that's equitable going forward. Okay, wait a minute. And the question about the students that are changing, I mean, they don't choose their own classes. I mean, I thought that's what high schoolers did.
For the schedule?
Yeah, for their schedules, that they choose their classes. And if that's not the case, when did that stop? Because we used to have a schedule of classes, and the students would be able to look at the schedule and pick the classes that they needed and that they wanted. And if we're no longer doing that, the kids need to know that. Okay, and I mean, why are we, the district, choosing classes for high school kids? They're supposed to be able, or we're supposed to be teaching them how to do all of that stuff for when they get in college. That's that. And then I just want to say this, that we are starting a new school year on August 14th. The momentum that I saw at the kickoff was infectious and motivating. And I am praying for our district and for every teacher going into the classrooms to know that each child will leave with what they have teachers have brought to them, and the life lessons that they will forever remember. And just remember that your legacy of a teacher is based on what you bring into your classroom and what the students get out of it. And just good luck to everybody through this school year.
So I do want to touch on just two things. So again, the kickoff was really great, and when I did the middle school speeches, my goal or message to our incoming freshmen was to build your community. Find out those people who you can lean on. Find out those people who are going to lift you up and make a positive impact. Even referenced the Lean On Me song and Count On Me by Bruno Mars. So it was great to see the Lean On Me kind of carry through into the kickoff, because it's all about community. Each of the students that used their personal time to come and talk to the district was talking about community, right? Like it truly does take a village. It takes everyone's hands on deck. In Miss Sola's administration summary, she referenced community. It's such a huge piece, and we need to make sure we're building community not only in our classrooms, but in our buildings, with the grade level buildings, so all elementary schools, all middle schools, as a district as a whole. Make sure we're bringing in all of our support staff, whether it's our paraprofessionals, our school psychs, our guidance counselors, our maintenance, our custodial staff, our secretaries, everyone. And if I missed you in that listing, it was not intentional. We're limited on time. But that's what's going to make us better, is treating each other with kindness, with respect, and have that perspective of how can I help you, right? And I just want to also reiterate that how we talk about others is how they are going to see themselves and project themselves. So in terms of just a narrow view, right, if we're looking at teachers, if we tell our peers, if we tell our colleagues, I have the best class, they are amazing, they follow directions, they're social emotional learning, they're caring about their classmates. If we put that out into the universe, the students will deliver, right? So speak great things and let the kids rise to that occasion. The only other thing that I want to mention is that I know the beginning of the school year is very hectic, because our staff, especially our teachers who want to be in the classroom, getting it ready, making it beautiful for all of our meet and greet events that we had tonight and Tuesday night, that
that effort to get their classroom to be great for the students takes time. And at the beginning of the school year, we also have to have our teachers and staff go through trainings. So I wonder if it could be an opportunity where we look to the high school to see if we have high school student volunteers that wouldn't mind using some of their summer and maybe gain community service hours to go into the classrooms and help the teachers, right? Do you need me to hang this paper on your bulletin board? I'm happy to help you, right? So the teacher can kind of be a project manager for some things, but still hold what brings them enjoyment for them to do themselves. But to see if we can maybe get them those pieces so they're not anxious or stressed and they can just have a beautiful and safe start to the year.
And it might help with future teachers.
Oh, you know.
Thank you for that, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Fabian?
So I'm going to try to be real brief. I want to echo the sentiments of welcome back, but I also want to thank our custodians who worked all summer to prepare our schools and for setting up for the resource fair and our back to school kickoff. I know it's a lot of work, so I just wanted to give them a special shout out. And then also for us parents, to a reminder to follow your school and the district on social media to get all the updates and make sure that your info is correct, so that you are receiving all the emails and texts. And please, please, please review the pickup and drop off procedures before Monday. Don't get there and figure it out. Please review that first. We want to keep all of our students safe. And lastly, as part of the Waukegan Public Schools Foundation, our grant is open for every teacher to apply. It is $1,000 in order for you to expand on the curriculum, to do an extra project. So please look into your inboxes. We sent it out prior to the end of the year, and we'll send another reminder, and that's open for all teachers. So please, we want to see those submissions come in. It is open until next month.
And Ms. Fabian, drop-off is parents go to a reasonable, never mind, I'm not going, Kathy's here. I was going to make a joke, but I won't. Tuck and roll. Tuck and roll.
Well, and just follow it. Don't be that parent that thinks, oh, this don't apply to me. I'm going to cut in front. You're just going to cause
And the
more
door
tension.
numbers. And pay attention to what door your child's supposed to enter. Please don't have your little kid lost.
Sorry, this is, yeah. Thank you for the reminders. And I did a quote yesterday. A teacher actually reached out for the quote. I'm going to email him back, but it was Andrew Carnegie. And teamwork is the ability to work together toward a common vision. It is a fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. Our kids deserve the best, and each of you are the best. And so the superintendent said, you got to take care of yourself in order to take care of our babies. And so I want to remind us as we go into the school year is to do that. So I'd like a motion to go back into closed session under exception C1, C21, and C2.
Motion.
Motion
Second.
by Ms. Fabian, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Roll call.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Fabian.
Yes.
Ms. Lensing.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, if we can meet back downstairs.